Have you ever walked into a room where your child was already mid-meltdown, and before you even opened your mouth, you felt your own heart begin to race and your jaw tighten? You haven't said a word yet, but your body is already preparing for battle. Or perhaps you've experienced that contagious anxiety where your teenager's stress about a math test suddenly becomes your stress, and by dinner time, the entire family is snapping at one another over the placement of a fork. In these moments, we often feel like we are victims of our children's moods. We ask, why are they doing this to me? Or, how do I get them to stop? But what if I told you that the most powerful tool for changing that dynamic isn't a better punishment or a more logical argument? The most powerful tool you possess is your own nervous system. Today, we are diving deep into the science of co-regulation, not just as a parenting trick, but as a fundamental shift in how your family functions as a single emotional unit. Welcome back to the Path to Peace Therapy podcast. I'm Stephanie Buckley, a solution-focused parenting strategist, ADHD specialist, and family systems coach. I specialize in helping families navigate ADHD, executive functioning challenges, and the emotional patterns that keep households stuck in cycles of frustration, avoidance, and conflict. My work is deeply rooted in solution-focused therapy, which moves us away from analyzing the why of the problem and instead focuses on identifying practical strategies to build momentum and restore confidence. I also lean heavily into Bowen Family Systems theory, which teaches us that no child or parent exists in a vacuum. Families are emotional units, and when one member struggles with regulation or motivation, the entire system adapts. Understanding these interconnected patterns is the key to lasting change. I bring more than just clinical theory to this microphone. I've been married for over 3 decades and have lived the journey of raising a now thriving 23-year-old neurodivergent son with ADHD. We are so proud of the man he has become, a talented 23-year-old singer-songwriter and gifted multi-instrumentalist whose dedication to his craft and musical range truly reflect his passion for creating and performing music as a career. My personal experience as a parent and my professional work intersect every single day. I'm here to help you look beneath the behavior so you can move your family from chaos and confusion into clarity, confidence, and peace. Today, we're looking at co-regulation through 2 powerful lenses: solution-focused, brief therapy, which looks at what is working and how to do more of it, and Bowen Family Systems theory, which helps us understand that no family member exists in a vacuum. We are all interconnected, vibrating on the same emotional frequency. To understand co-regulation, we first have to understand Bowen's concept of the nuclear family emotional process. This theory suggests that a family is an emotional unit. When one person's anxiety rises, it doesn't stay with them, it leaks onto everyone else. Think of it like a Wi-Fi signal. If the router is sending out a signal of panic, every device in the house picks it up. Co-regulation is the intentional act of being the router that sends out a signal of calm. It is the process where a regulated adult uses their own physiological stability to help a dysregulated child return to a state of equilibrium. When your child is dysregulated, meaning their nervous system is in a state of hyperarousal, fight or flight, yelling, hitting, or hypoarousal, shutting down, numbing out, spacing out, they cannot access their prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking brain responsible for logic and impulse control. Instead, they are stuck in the amygdala, the alarm center of the brain that only cares about survival. As a solution-focused strategist, I tell parents, you cannot reason with an alarm system. You have to disable the alarm first. Co-regulation is the code that disarms the system. Let's look at a 6-year-old, Leo, who is having a meltdown because his iPad time is over. His mother, Sarah, feels her own anxiety spike. According to Bowen theory, Sarah might engage in triangling. This happens when 2 people in a system, Sarah and Leo, have tension, and one of them pulls in a third element, like a spouse to complain to, or even a harsh, authoritative personado, stabilize their own discomfort. Instead of triangling or reacting, Sarah uses a solution-focused exception question. She asks herself, when was a time Leo transitioned well, and what did I do differently then? She remembers that when she gave him a physical bridge, a hug, or a high five before the transition, he stayed calm. The strategy. Sarah moves toward Leo, matches his physical level by kneeling, and takes 3 deep, audible breaths. She doesn't talk. She simply provides a non-anxious presence. This is a Bowen term for an individual who can remain emotionally separate and calm even when the system around them is in chaos. By staying calm, her nervous system invites Leo's nervous system to slow down. Now, imagine Maya, a 15-year-old with ADHD. She comes home, slams her door, and screams that she's dropping out. A parent's natural reaction is emotional reactivity, an immediate, unthinking physical response to someone else's mood. You might want to scream back about her future or her attitude, but here we apply differentiation of self. This is the ability to stay connected to the family while remaining emotionally independent. It means recognizing Maya is overwhelmed, but I am not. Her fire does not have to be my fire. The strategy. Instead of catching the anxiety virus, the parent uses a solution-focused scaling question. After Maya calms down slightly, the parent says, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is, I'm actually quitting school, and 1 is, I just had a terrible day, where are we? This forces Maya's brain to move out of the amygdala and back into the prefrontal cortex to analyze the number. The parent provides the scaffolding, or the support structure, but Maya does the cognitive work. If you are struggling with a household that feels constantly dialed up to a 10, I want you to consider the miracle question. Suppose you go to sleep tonight, and a miracle happens. When you wake up, your family is perfectly co-regulated. What is the very first tiny sign you would notice that tells you things are different? Maybe it's that you don't jump out of bed feeling rushed. Maybe it's that you respond to a spill with a no big deal shrug instead of a lecture. Co-regulation starts with self-regulation. You cannot give what you do not have. This is why self-care isn't a luxury. In family systems theory, your well-being is the anchor for the entire system. When you are differentiated and calm, the chronic anxiety, the background stress that lives in every family begins to evaporate. Tonight's tool. The breathe and scan. Before you walk through the door after work, or before you enter your child's room to deliver bad news, like dinner is ready or screens are off, I want you to perform a system scan. Check your differentiation. Remind yourself, I am the leader of this system. I do not have to match their volume to be heard. The 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This physically signals your vagus nerve, the main component of the parasympathetic nervous system, to tell your brain you are safe. The soft startup. Instead of a command, start with a connection. I see you're working hard on that game. I'm going to put dinner on in 5 minutes. The teenager and the messy room. Instead of walking in and saying, your room is a disaster, clean it up before you go out, try focusing on their state of mind first. The soft startup. I can see you've had a really long day and you're finally getting a chance to relax. Once you've had a few more minutes to decompress, I'd love your help getting these clothes off the floor so we can keep the hallway clear. The framework. You are acknowledging their need for rest, validation, before stating a household need. This maintains differentiation. You aren't becoming enmeshed in their mess, but you are leading with calm. The young adult/student and procrastination. Instead of asking, why haven't you started your music theory project yet? It's due tomorrow, use an observation. The soft startup. I noticed you've been spending a lot of time at your desk today. It looks like that project is taking a lot of creative energy. Would it help if we grabbed a quick snack together for 10 minutes to give your brain a reset before you dive back into the next section? The framework. This uses the solution-focused approach of looking for a reset or an exception. You aren't judging the pace, you are offering a partnership in regulation. The elementary child and the transition to bedtime. Instead of shouting from the other room, "Teeth brushed now," use physical proximity. The soft startup, walking over and sitting next to them. That Lego tower you're building is incredibly detailed. I love the way you use the blue pieces for the windows. We have about 5 minutes of building time left, and then it's time to head toward the bathroom for pajamas. The framework. This is a Bowen strategy for maintaining a healthy emotional connection. You are entering their system with interest rather than an invasion, which reduces the likelihood of a power struggle. Why this works? In every example, the goal is to avoid emotional reactivity. When we lead with a command, the other person's brain often perceives it as a threat to their autonomy. When we lead with a connection, we are practicing co-regulation, lending them our calm so they can transition from what they want to do to what they need to do. Remember, regulation always precedes reasoning. You can teach the lesson once the storm has passed. This episode is for educational purposes and to provide support. It's not a substitute for professional mental health evaluation, diagnosis, or treatment. The goal of a peaceful home isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of a regulated adult who knows how to navigate it. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who's in the thick of it. Subscribe for more and visit thepathtopeacetherapy.com for resources on ADHD, family systems, and more. Or you can email me at stephanieb@thepathtopeacetherapy.com. And as always, take a deep breath. Give yourself some grace. And remember, peace is possible, and you don't have to do this alone.